Good morning. David Finkel here. I want to talk about a couple of YouTube channels. I'm streaming to both Finkel and the Shadow Finkel. And the first channel I want to call your attention to is forgive the pronunciation. Ariel corrected me on it several times, and I still think I got it wrong, but I'm reading it the way someone who grew up with the English language would read it. Monte Mater. Someone said it's Monte Madre. I don't know. This lady, Monte Mater, however you pronounce it, at Monteemader. Hello, Time and Execution. That's a new name to me. Okay, the girl who bothered to read the Bible. One of the cool things about her, she won't talk about the Bible without getting it exactly right. Is she currently a Christian, or was she an indoctrinated Christian and got out, or has she changed her Christian views? Not really sure, but she was indoctrinated into Christianity, hardcore, I want to say Christian nationalist type. But if she talks about the Bible, she knows exactly what she said. It's not Mondre, that's for sure. Monte Mater. I don't know. I follow another channel called The Raging Tomato, and sometimes they call her Mater. They mean tomato. I don't think that's the case here. Monte Mater. Anyway, she won't talk about something with knowing exactly what she's talking about, because when I first came across her, I'm like, wow, that can't be true. So I'm sorry, guys. When I get to the next channel, I'm going to discuss. By now, doesn't everyone understand when we tell you to Google it, we're using a colloquialism. We're saying use your chat engine, your search engine, your AI, your research, your modern research, quick from home. I mean, I'm not saying go to the library and check out a book. I get it. We don't do that anymore. When I say Google it, I'm saying Yahoo, ChatGPT, Siri. Your favorite version or your most trusted version of quickly searching for something that exists out there. There are people who are offended by Google, and so they laugh at you if you say Google it, because they think you're literally saying go to www.google.com and plug in your query into the search field. There's a million search engines and AIs and various ways to do that. But if you want to show me how a narrow mind you have, if I say colloquial, Google it, and you go off about how inaccurate Google is, you're not thinking very openly. By the way, this lady does articulate very openly. She doesn't have a narrow mind. She has an educated mind. She knows what she's talking about. That's at Montemader, and she's very heavy on the shorts. And you want to have your mind open 3 minutes or less, watch any of her shorts. And I don't know how long has she been doing this, oldest. Okay, the shorts doesn't show the dates like a video, or she doesn't do lives. It's a shame. I'd like to see her do a live show. Okay, not very modestly dressed. I get it. That might offend some people. Misunderstand the Bible about dressing modestly. What the Bible means when in those references, and by the way, she educated me on this, and I Googled it. I use Siri and I use ChatGPT to verify it. What the Bible meant was, don't show off your wealth in your clothing. So when I say she doesn't dress very modestly, I'm not talking that she's well, she does have some bling there in some of them, but Unfortunately, there may be a lot of guys watching her just because she may be fun to watch. I watch her because she's educational. She's informative. Come as you are. That's the way my church is. Of course, I probably wouldn't wear this to my church. Uh, I would uh, I would guess that most of the members of my church, most of the attendees of my church, feel the same way. But uh, political opinions just don't belong in church, which is an American concept. But they're not getting that these days. So I'm going to introduce you to the other channel that I just experienced a very short while ago. Okay. Sorry, Monty. Someday I'll go over some of your stuff. Monty, if you're out there, you got some really cool stuff. Okay, I'm going to share. I'm going to share this gem of human waste. All right. Something about it. I'm just doom scrolling. Is that what they call it? Through YouTube this morning. And when I saw him, in the first few minutes of listening to the first few moments, I thought this is another guy like Tom. I can't. Tom, like Monte, is very heavy on the shorts and very informative, but he does a lot of dunking on TikTokers. He's on YouTube, but he does a lot of dunking on TikTokers who are very opposite of this opinion. Yeah, something about his body language, his voice, his beard. But yeah, I really didn't pay attention to his background. Look at this background. What we got? These are all AR-15 style, civilian guns made to function very much like the military's M16. I get it. I've been out for more than a quarter century. They don't call them M16s anymore. I forget what they're calling them now. But basically, the 5.56 weapon that it's spring loaded, it's gas operated. By gas operated, I mean when you eject the round, when you fire a round, the pressure, the gases inside are what push the spring back, create a vacuum, and bring up the next round, and automatically you have another round in the chamber. They're probably not fully automatic, meaning that if you hold the trigger, it just keeps repeating. Although I think you can alter them that way. The original M16 that I came into the military with a million years ago, if you squeezed the trigger, as long as it didn't jam, as long as there was more ammo in the magazine, it would just keep repeat firing. And that selection was called auto. As my career progressed, they came out with a new M16 that it went to burst. They had a auto or burst. The next selection was semi, and the next selection was safe. Safe locked it, so squeezing the trigger wouldn't do anything. Of course, we were trying not to put our finger on the trigger unless we were going to shoot, because even safe could fail. On semi, which most civilian versions are set up to do, when you squeeze the trigger and hold it, only one round fires. But the next round goes into the chamber, and the weapon repeat charges, self charges, so that all you have to do is release the trigger and squeeze it again. And in the military versions of burst and with auto, one squeeze of the trigger would fire as many rounds as that weapon would allow. But these he's got on display to impress you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. At least 6 of these fuckers on display. And by the way, I can't really tell what this is behind his head. Maybe a 7th. This is the kind of rack that would be used in an Army, Marine Corps, sometimes Navy or Air Force. This is the kind of rack in the arms room where soldiers would lock up their weapons when they're not at the range, not in the field, not deployed. These things, you'd stack the arms in the arms room in these racks, and these racks were bolted down. And obviously, he's what we call a poser. He wants to demonstrate this. I'm a poser because I want to demonstrate fuck Trump. Sometimes I'll put stuff in the background, like I think one of my backgrounds is a pictorial display of my military history, which I make very clear ended in 1998. That's more than a quarter century ago. But it basically has the ship I was on, the Navy, and the unit patches and a couple of the awards from when I was in. And that's because I served, and I'm proud of my service. This man never served. I'm not saying he doesn't have a DD-214. I'm not saying he never went to basic training and never was an enlisted or commissioned officer. I'm saying he never served. And I get that just from the few moments of interacting with him. By the way, on his channel, I'm considered a troll because I have a different opinion. A troll is someone who comes to your channel just to stir up shit. I came to his channel to have a conversation, like I've done with other channels you may be aware of. Okay, I'm making a habit of not mentioning generally specific, but generally specific is a good example. Finkel, or Shadow Finkel, I'm sorry, I haven't been in there since the dunking channel became Shadow Finkel. Shadow Finkel would hear that he wants to talk to me about something. I would go over there, and then immediately he start, what are the kids calling it? Spurging out. He'd start spurging out and fighting with me, even though I'm there to discuss the thing that he wants to discuss about. And the guy forgets that there's a delay. So he'll ask me a question, I'll answer it, and later on he'll Google it. He'll use whatever search engine he uses, and then he admits he's wrong. I think one of the last times I was over there, Sun Tzu, the author of The Art of War. The Art of War was written over 2,000 years ago. I want to say 2,500 years ago. And Johnny Specific kept quoting what he thought was Art of War by saying, as Sun Tzu said, never interrupt your enemy while he's making a mistake. He'd say it over and over and over again. For over a year that I've been aware of that channel, he's used that quote, and I've told him many times that's not Sun Tzu. I think it's Napoleon. I'm not sure, but I don't keep repeating that quote. Never interrupt your enemy. Good morning, Wyatt. There's a name I recognize. Never interrupt your enemy while he's making a mistake. I believe that was Napoleon, but I don't go repeating it, so I don't really care if it's Napoleon or whoever. But I know for a fact it's not Sun Tzu. Well, about the delay and the bad faith claim that I wish Finkel was here. I want to talk to him about this. I'd go there, and he would, while I'm waiting to see what he wants to talk about, misquote Art of War. Never interrupt your enemy while he's making a mistake. Sun Tzu never said that. At least he's not documented for ever saying that. Maybe he had a time machine and he was quoting Napoleon. I don't know. Something else about that channel. Oh, I'm sorry, I was on the delay. One of the recent times, it's been a couple weeks. I don't watch the fucker anymore. If you want to know why, see the video in my posts. If you go to my post column, you'll see why I don't. I try to touch it, but generally specifically, you're out there. I'm not picking on you. I'm just giving you an example of how some of these YouTube channels act. He looked it up. He says, "Oh shit, it's Napoleon," and he corrected himself. But in that 30-second delay, well, it's anywhere from 8 seconds to 40 seconds. Usually, it's around 30 seconds. After he corrected himself, he sees my chat that reaffirms it's not Sun Tzu, it's Napoleon. And he just wigs out. Didn't you just hear me? I admitted you were right. Blah, 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 blah. All right. So in his eyes, for me going to his channel and trying to communicate with him while he's claiming he wants to have a conversation with me, I'm a troll. A troll. A troll is a person who usually, not always, usually puts on his sock and he goes to a chat, a channel, a discussion forum, just to stir the pot. Well, I come across this guy, this gem of a human being. I think I'm stealing Tom Powell's phraseology on that. He's talking about, I can't remember. Actually, we'll play it back here in a minute. I'll retract my previous comment. Yeah, he definitely looks like the type that wants trouble to justify the ignorance that follows. Yes, this guy, like General Specific, tags Finkel using Finkel's real name. He can track me back to Finkel. In fact, just to make sure he can track me back if he so chooses, is he's mentioned in the description on this live channel on both channels, Finkel and Shadow Finkel. Okay. Well, Wyatt's from, I see Wyatt all the time in various channels. By the way, Wyatt, what has happened to Hill Pirate Studios? I haven't seen him for a while. G2 also, they seem to have gone radio silent. If anybody knows, I'd like to know what's going on there with Jeff and Scotto and G2 and their sometimes their guests. Haven't seen them for. Okay. Well, a troll may or may not use a sock, like Vegas VIPs. Everyone's familiar with Vegas VIPs. He did some huge trolling and fake accounts. Hell, he was Finkel for a while, or maybe it was when I was going under Old Sarge Finkel or I can't remember. But while I was at a funeral in North Carolina, people started texting me, "Why'd you say that?" I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And come to find out, Vegas VIPs create an account to look like mine, and he was stirring up trouble and very it was KFAR Reacts. That's trolling. That's trolling. When you go to have a discussion or you're curious what they're talking about and you comment on what they're talking about, that's not trolling. And if I disagree with you, or if I have a different opinion than your narrow mindset, that is having a conversation. And I'm not sure, Finkel, I've heard rumors that Jeff got put in YouTube timeout. Oh, no. Well, what about Scotto and G2? As G2 has his own channel. I don't know. K-Fat needs to go eat cookies. He does that. Yeah. Okay. All right. I digress very easily. I'm trying to talk about this dick snack and compare him to the Monty Mater that I showed at the beginning of this live stream. This guy's an ignorant fuck. Okay, he's got the paraphernalia. He's got the AR-15s, looking all militaristic. In fact, he's got a standard arms room weapons rack. And over here, oh, you can't see my pointer. Ah, damn it. Okay, over on the right of the screen, you got a stack of ammo cans. When you resupply ammo in the military, the ammo usually comes in a green can like this, and all the bullets, the rounds, are packed in there so you can pack as many as possible. I can't really tell me if I blow this up. I can't really tell the calibers, but I'm going to guess, since he's using the 5.56 style weapons, that he's got shit, it's been a long time. The one on the bottom might, oh, you can see my pointer now. That one on the bottom might be a 5.56. Now, what I didn't notice right away, and shame on me for my lack of attention to detail, it sounded like, me see, his title is Good Trump versus Bad Trump. Did you get what you voted for? Okay. Reading the title, you can't judge a book by its title. I thought he was anti-Trump. Now I see all this Trump paraphernalia in the background. This guy is MAGA. MAGA, which makes him two things. One, dishonest, and two, a liar. Oh, wait, I'm redundant. I repeated myself. This guy loves Trump. And for some reason, he's not too happy with Trump about something. So I'm like, cool. Okay. I didn't notice all the background shit. I'm focused on the man and what he's saying, which to him means has been active, and Scotto has been active also. I went to the G2 channel last night, and it looked like it'd been several days. Maybe I'm missing something. Okay. I'm focused on the man and what he's saying. And actually, what I posted, I thought I was agreeing with him. Well, apparently it didn't follow his narrative. Therefore, I'm a troll. And that's how they keep their narrative, is anybody who has a dissenting opinion is a troll. They're a one of the Vegas VIP sucks. Who's that guy that's been trolling my channel and he's got a picture of Stephen Miller, and he's called .2 marathoner, .2 mile marathoner. A good example, in the same naming convention, there's a 0.3 acres farm. There's drunk Michael Kaiser's son or something like that. Now, the Michael Kaiser stepson, we get this a joke troll. We know who he is, and he's doing it just to have fun and have fun interactions with people. This guy automatically assumes that I'm a troll because my opinion doesn't line up with his. Let me see if I can find where I came in. There it is. Okay, Finkel. Okay, so let me back up. I think it took him 2 or 3 minutes to realize it. I get like, I don't realize your chats either. Let's listen to this person who's never served, and he's not a Christian. Now he didn't mention his faith or lack thereof, but he told me in not so many words, I am not a Christian, and he told me in not so many words, I have never served. Let's get into why.
But like Mario has pointed out, Israel is supposed to be our biggest ally, but we get nothing in profit from our alliance, from our relationship.
I think it's a little bit further back than this. Let me go. It's a 36 minute. Okay, we'll cover the last 10 minutes. I'm pretty sure it's somewhere in the last 10 minutes. So I'm going to start there. We're at 26:34 of a 36 minute video. This is a video titled Good Trump versus Bad Trump. Did you get what you voted for and fall for it again? Well, I didn't get what I voted for, but I see a lot of people did, and they did fall for it. So I'm thinking this is an anti-Trump discussion. He's got mixed emotions because Trump didn't bow down and do everything exactly the way he wanted to. Therefore, he's angry at Trump. Let's check this out.
First distribution to states like California and New York. At Sergeant Major, yes, they ask about race, but they don't ask about citizenship. So, long and the short this morning, Trump really, really shat himself over the whole Epstein thing. This is a major fuck up.
That was one of the first things I was aware of hearing. Yes. Trump really fucked it up. So I thought this was a friendly environment for people who wear hats like this. Apparently I was wrong.
And in fairness, I can absolutely imagine a situation where there are some substantial higher power. That's basically what we've just learned, right?
Okay, that's a trigger for me, not an emotional trigger, not a PTS trigger, but he almost said higher power, which in my vocabulary means a God, a creator, a supreme being, something higher than myself. And I get that phraseology from Alcoholics Anonymous and my church. We call it higher with an H, with a capital H, power with a capital P. That's what made me think, okay, he's talking about God here. He's not talking about God here. This man has no higher power. This man has no God. We'll get into why here as quickly as we can.
That Trump has dropped the ball on this is evidence that our elected officials at all levels of government are not actually running the country.
He's one of those tinfoil hats. He thinks that if you're in government, you're not doing the job you were elected to do or appointed to do or you got hired to do. You're actually being controlled by some other entity. That's what he meant by higher power. Tinfoil hat. Finkel Trump had a cabinet prayer before the proceedings either yesterday or Monday. Yeah, he fakes the prayers all the time. I can see where Bushfire took some shrapnel to the head. That might explain a few things. I don't. This is the first time I stumbled across this guy. I don't know anything about his history, but I know two things. One, he's not a Christian. In fact, I'm pretty sure he's not a man of any faith. And two, he never served. And we'll get to why I think he never served.
And it doesn't matter if they're Republicans or Democrats. They are beholden to some exterior force.
Exterior force, not higher power.
And that is a very, very bad thing. Now, that said, they still apparently exercise authority at some level within the country because we are seeing promises kept that were made with regard to securing our sovereign borders.
That's where I got promises kept. A fake Christian president being supported by fake Christians. He's keeping his promises. And there's so many digressions you could go there with keeping our border safe. By the way, nothing, and I mean absolutely nothing, has been done for securing the border further, either border, the Canadian border or the Mexican border. Okay. If you just focus on the Mexican border, no border improvements, no security, no fencing, no barriers, no higher levels of patrol have been implemented in the last 6 months. Since Trump has been president, no improvements. His idea of border security now is go around and deport everybody, everybody with brown skin, everybody who have an accent, everybody who might disagree with Trump. We're getting there. Okay. So I'm thinking at this point, we're talking about Trump's successes or failures. And just last night, I became aware that in ICE detentions, people are being denied their religious texts. And since people like this, not this guy, I don't know if this guy or not, people like this keep claiming we are a Christian nation. Trump is doing this because he's a Christian, totally discarding anything the Bible ever said on the subject. He thinks that Trump is keeping these promises because he's a good Testing 1 2 1 2 3. Yeah. Okay. Now, not sure what just happened there. Let's get Mr. Fake Veteran, Fake Christian. I don't know if he's a fake Christian. I don't know if he's ever claimed to be a Christian or not. Let's get him back up here. Okay. Quick description of what just happened. StreamYard just blanked out. YouTube just blanked out. www.foxnews.com, www.cnn.com, www.google.com all continue to work. Over here, I have a TV streaming from Hulu. It's on silent, no interruptions. The only thing that interrupted was my StreamYard broadcast to my 2 YouTube channels. Now, if I had one of those Brushfire Mind minds, if I had one of those generally specific minds, if I had one of those KFAR minds, I would go off on how this was some kind of conspiracy to shut me up. It's a technical glitch. I'm going to guess either StreamYard or YouTube or both. But here I am. I'm at 27:58 of good Trump versus bad Trump, and I completely forget where I was because I'm what just happened. I'll admit my mind went there with the conspiracy theory. Someone shut me off. If someone shut me off, I wouldn't be back right now continuing with the same stream. We're going to need an after-action review. Yes, we're going to do an RCA on this. Don't know what happened. Maybe Muckster. Now that is more likely. Muckster, Aereo, and I feel stupid for including Killing Time. Killing Time doesn't currently have access to this StreamYard. I forgot that. Killing Time, if you ever want that access back, just reach out and let me know. Right now, okay. Yeah, it could very well be Muxer messing with me. I'm kidding. Muxer messes with me, but not like that. You are going to tell us how come you thought he wasn't a vet. Oh, yes. Okay, all right. He claims to be a veteran. And he acts like one of these Christian nationalists. He hasn't said I'm a Christian nationalist. I am okay, thank you, and I hope you are okay too. Let's. Oh, that's right. He's talking about border security. He's talking about what a great job Trump is doing on border security. That's right. I remember where I was, and I'm pointing out. Border security hasn't changed one iota in the last 6 months. What has changed is internally inside the country, they're going after people under the presumption that they're illegal immigrants and that they're committing crimes other than crossing the border. I get it, crossing the border is a crime, but when Trump ran, he implied he was going after the murderers, the rapists, the drug pushers, the kitty diddlers. And if that was the case, unfortunately, he can't reach his quotas because due process does slow the process down a little bit. If you say, hey, Finkel's a murderer, you have to have probable cause to think I'm a murderer. And if I am said murderer, you're supposed to charge me and try me for the murder. Yes. Deport me after I've served the time for the crime. Whatever crime you're accusing me of, punishment or correction first, and then deport if there's any time left. What they're doing is arresting people en masse, and then they're finding out if they're citizen or not, if they're naturalized or illegal or even legal citizen. They're looking for some way to stick some crime on them so they can deport them or take away their citizenship for the crime. If they're an American, they just hold them there for a while and then they release them without charges. But that's coming to an end. And once in a while, and you've seen Stephen Miller and you've seen Hegspeth, you've seen a few others actually list the 5 or 10 they've arrested, they've detained over 280,000 people since this started. They have somewhere a handful or two of people who actually turned out to be hardcore criminals. It's not a very good rate. Of course, there's a break. Okay, I'm digressing. There's so, like I said, yeah, there are many ways you can digress. Okay, this guy. By the way, I didn't say he wasn't a vet. I said he's not. He never served. I think I just gave myself away. He may be a vet. He may have a DD-214. He may have graduated basic training. Hell, he maybe even have been in combat. Doesn't mean he served. Mr. Finkel, is it true that Elon is starting up a political party? Elon Musk says he is. There are some troubles with it. He wants to call his party the America Party. And in some states, I believe one of them is New York, you can't put a party on a ballot that has the word America in it. I don't understand that. I would think America is a very American sounding name. Maybe it's to avoid fake patriotism. I don't know. Musk is just trolling Trump. That could be. That could be. Well, this guy thinks I'm a troll, and I'm going to listen a little bit more because I really forgot where I'm going. I'm of that age where I forget where I'm going. This is a paranoid, tinfoil hat wearing, fake patriot person who has never served. And if he claims to be a Christian, I'm going to call him out on that lie too. He's not a man of any faith. Let's continue.
And eliminating the hostile foreign invaders that are threatening our liberty and prosperity.
Hostile foreign invaders that are threatening our liberty and prosperity. Ha! Barefoot woman and her children come to America and pick fruit and raise your kids and cook your hamburgers. They're hostile. They're coming for you. Be afraid. Be very afraid. Motherfucker, 99% of them are coming here to get a part of the American dream and serve America. Are you afraid of barefoot women and barefoot children who walked thousands of miles to cross our very dangerous border to have a relatively safer life? Not a Christian. Nope. And you can ask Monte Mater why. I can't articulate as well as she can, but if you disagree that a Christian would be intimidated by a woman or a child walking thousands of miles, crossing a very dangerous border, and risking ICE detentions and deportations and family separations after the first Trump administration, you're risking that. And once they're in our nation, you want to treat them like they're a hostile, dangerous foreign invader? You can ask Monte Mater, and she'll give you a very good answer why that is not Christian. All right, let's continue.
So when you see the memes, did I get what I voted for, or did I fall for it again? It really, really is as simple as, honestly, there's just about nothing Donald Trump could do. Right? I'm not saying I'm a fan of everything he's done, but there's just about nothing that he could do. No failure so great that it would make me regret not voting for Kamala Harris.
Oh, Kamala Harris. At best, she would continue the economy that the whole world envied. At worst, she'd be mediocre. She'd be average. But you decide to vote for someone who is worse than a Nazi. And you're never going to regret that. You look to be about Social Security age, Medicaid, Medicare age. What's that medical program they force us on when we reach 65? You look to be about that age. When you lose those benefits, you're not going to regret it because you're an ass-licking psychopath of Donald Jessica Trump. Okay.
Or Joe Biden or any other Democrat.
Any Democrat is worse than the guy who's dismantling our nation, making us weaker on the world stage, racially going after people, politically going after people. I would say the worst crime of the Democrats is they're too soft, too complacent. They give the right too much slack. That is a fault. That is an imperfection. That is a failure, and that is part of why we are here. But this guy's going to lick Trump's asshole no matter what. Hello, stupid humans.
Right. Aaron Olson says this is bigger than the JQ. You know, I've had to have some conversations with some of my buddies and say, listen, there's a lot of stuff that we need to cover, and there is. This is
now, I've already posted my comment. He hasn't gotten to it yet, but this is when I start realizing this guy is 100% for the child diddler, Donald Trump. Donald Trump diddled children with Jeffrey Epstein. Donald Trump was on the client list that Pam Bondi had on her desk, had to review it before she released it. You know, she wanted to make sure Donald Trump wasn't in there. Donald Trump was on that client list so many times, to recreate it, omitting Donald Trump, would be way too much work. So they changed their story and said, there is no client list. The client list that was on her desk doesn't exist. And by the way, notice the shadowy figure with the hoodie going into the cell block area where Jeffrey Epstein was. By the way, that minute missing video, 11:58 p.m. on the night before Jeffrey Epstein became less than alive. You can see the, not Movavi, you can see the tools for the editing software for on and off again for about 45 minutes before midnight until midnight. After midnight, there's 11 hours of video. You never see it again. They edited something in there. I'm going to bet it's somebody coming and going, but we don't know. Okay, so this guy loves child diddling Donald Trump, and there's nothing that the child rapist Donald Trump could do to make him regret not voting for someone who's either better, either being by superior or just mediocre, which I would argue mediocre is superior to what we're seeing now. He's not going to regret it. He's incapable of doing a 4th step inventory and a 10th step continuation inventory and admitting when he's wrong. The only way he's going to admit he's wrong if he's like that Canadian woman, finding himself in ICE detention, getting deported after voting for Trump. When it happens to him, when he climbs that ladder and kicks the ladder down so that other people can't climb it, and ICE comes up behind him and grabs him, that's when he'll regret it, when it affects him.
It's not the JQ channel.
I don't know what that
and
channel is.
There is
a J2, I don't know what that is.
There is something going on there with the JQ, but like Mario has pointed out, you know, Israel is supposed to be our biggest ally, but we get nothing in profit from our alliance, from our relationship with Israel. They're all take and no give. And I've said over and over again, this is true, but it's important to understand the context here is that is the truth about every ally we have. There is no value, no profit in any of the political alliances and any of the international alliances we have.
Okay, this is one way I know he never served. He may have enlisted, he may have commissioned, he never served. He never understood the value of alliances. Yeah, we put a lot more into NATO than NATO puts into us. I get it. The reason we have NATO is because we had a chance to stop Nazi Germany when they invaded Poland. And we said, no, let them go. It's not us. No biggie, no biggie. And then they invaded France. Oh, wait, no, it doesn't really bother us. And then they started bombing England. No, let them go. It doesn't impact us. It doesn't impact us. And then Japan bombed Pearl Harbor, and we declared war on Japan. Because we declared war on Japan, their allies in Germany and Italy declared war on us, so our Congress declared war back on them. Now we are at war. Okay, when you're at war with the country that you ignored and the allies you ignored as they invaded Czechoslovakia, Poland, North Africa, most of Europe, now we can do it because we can, but now we have to storm Normandy Beach. And just in storming Normandy Beach alone, just in getting that beachhead, how many Americans and Canadians and French and Brits were lost? Now we have to lose lots of allies just taking the beach. And once we take the beach, we have to slug our way across Europe. When we ignore Ukraine, when we don't support our allies in Syria, when we abandon our allies in Syria, we are risking repetition. And he doesn't understand that because he does not understand human history. He does not understand military history. He never paid attention in any class in basic training, AIT, PLDC, BNOC. Did he make it to ANOC? I don't know. Or whatever the Marine Corps or Air Force versions of those are. He has no clue. If he enlisted, if he got a commission, he did it for himself. He did not do it for his country. He did not do it to serve. People like that misinterpret claims that you did not serve. Michael Kaiser went to basic training twice. He lied, therefore stolen valor, about deployments and making staff sergeant and Purple Hearts. That's where the stolen valor is. The stolen valor isn't in and never having enlisted. He enlisted twice. He failed. He enlisted twice for the purpose of not serving his country, but to make the army serve him. We call them bus riders. Okay. That other fellow, the one with the mental illness, is afraid to weaponize it against him, generally specific. He enlisted twice. He got through basic training. Hell, he even went to airborne school. He did not serve. He enlisted for the purpose of the military serving him. He enlisted for a job, and there's really nothing wrong with that. But to flex it years later, the only job that you maintain more than 6 months is the military. You did it for the income. You did it so they could serve you. You did it. You rode the bus. You did it so that later on in life you can brag, I gave up my rights. I served you. You didn't serve anybody but yourself. Maybe you served in KP, maybe on police call when you picked up cigarette butts. Maybe you're serving your unit for very brief time, but the country, no. You made the country serve you. You're a bus rider. There's others out there, KFAR, Kaiser, Bryant. The list goes on and on and on. And, quite frankly, I see nothing wrong with enlisting for a job. But if you enlist for a job for economic security, for the protections and the rights given to you as a soldier, sailor, airman, Marine, whatever they're calling the Space Force folks, if that's the reason you enlisted, most people who enlisted for that purpose did actually serve. Like, okay, I'm here now. What is my job? My job is to serve a higher cause, not just police call, not just KP, but my job is to embrace the Constitution, support the Constitution, and follow the orders that make America, actually literally make America greater. To, when you take a prisoner of war, to treat them humanely. The reason I pointed that one out, well, there's two reasons. One is the first Iraq war. We treated the Iraqi prisoners of war, enemy prisoners of war, we treated them better than they were when they were free in their army. Word got out. This is one of the reasons we do that. Word got out that the Americans are treating us better than our own commanders and NCOs. They started surrendering by the hundreds. They friggin' surrendered to a CNN crew, an unarmed CNN crew. They saw Americans, we surrender. Because they knew as an enemy prisoner of war of the United States, you're going to get treated better than your own army does. And that's that keep that in mind as I get to this point that's coming up very soon. Because I found out something last night that really pissed me off.
We have. Every single one of them is a net negative. They cost us money without providing.
That's right. He forgets what the value of having allies is. I have dual purposes. When I'm out there on a First Amendment audit and a homeless person says, hey, man, you got some change? And I give him a 5, a 10, or a 20. I buy him a sandwich, buy him a Coke. Now you have a friend who doesn't serve you in any way, shape, or form. You've just served him. Now he's kind of watching things. Now he's a witness if your rights get violated out there on the street. He is your friend. That homeless man can give me nothing to my economic security. He can't get me to keep my job. He can't get me promoted. He can do nothing for me, but he can be a witness if something goes down. So the least of the nations we call our allies, they may not add to our economy. They may not do anything for us, but it is a great deterrent. And because he doesn't understand that, he never really involved himself in the military to the level of service.
Benefit. It cannot even, it used to be that we could argue that, well, they cost us money, but our allies, having allies in certain regions, give us strategic advantages against our existing enemies.
You get that? Huh?
That's no longer the case, and it has not been the case for a long time.
It's not been the case since we started betraying them, like Trump betrayed the Syrians that were our allies, fighting Assad, fighting terrorism, fighting ISIS. Oh, ISIS. Okay. When we left them high and dry, we lost our credibility. When we fought in Afghanistan for 20 fucking years, totally getting rid of the Taliban and giving Afghanistan the chance to build their own country, along comes Trump and gets those Taliban leaders all released and put back into Afghanistan, where they regain power. And he says, we're going to pull out. And then he blames Biden for actually pulling out. Now, everything we fought for in Afghanistan for 20 years is gone, and we've lost credibility. We used to be credible. Thank you, Trump. We are not credible anymore. So yeah, those Syrians, those Afghans that you're now deporting, Afghans who served us while we were fighting in their country, we're deporting them now. Okay? Including the Christian ones.
Right.
Dummy.
That's pretty simple. Hey, looks like I've got a troll. Christian ICE detainees are being denied.
That's me. Let's go back 5 seconds. As soon as he sees that I have a different opinion, I'm titled troll. And I actually thought I was expressing the same opinion. I misjudged this man. I thought he would have the same opinion.
Hey, looks like I've got a troll. Christian ICE detainees are being denied access to Bibles and other religious texts. POWs get access to their religious texts. ICE is worse than Nazis.
If you immediately assume someone with a different opinion is a troll, you will never be able to have a good faith conversation with somebody who might see things differently. Well, they do see things differently, but automatically put up the defense blocks. He's a troll. Nothing he can say means anything. Troll, troll, troll. Save me, save me. I'm afraid of the troll. You're a fucking pussy, Bushfire Mind. You're a pussy. So he's confused. Okay. What I'm saying here is Christian ICE detainees, and I put this out last night. In fact, I was so angry about it, I put it out several times. Christian ICE detainees are being denied access to Bibles and other religious texts. Prisoners of war get access to their religious texts. And I pointed out a Jewish American veteran named Jerry Wolf, when he became a prisoner of war in Nazi Germany, and he was identified as a Jew. The Nazis, who we all know hated Jews, provided Jerry Wolf with his religious access to his religious texts. And I said, ICE is worse than Nazis. Now, immediately he goes into the defense. Wait a minute. ICE hasn't exterminated 6 million people yet. Yet. The key word to that is yet. Yeah. The Nazis were pulling their shit from the time Hitler rose to power, actually a little bit before, somewhere in the 30s, until they were defeated in 1945. They only started the Jewish exterminations in, I think it was 42, 41, 43. They were in power for a long time before they started exterminating Jews. Trump has been in power 4 years before, took a little break, 6 months now. And ICE is doing everything the Nazis were doing before the exterminations. The Jews, long before they were exterminated, were round up in ghettos. They were prevented from getting jobs. They were prevented from going outside of their neighborhoods. And then it escalated to they're being shipped off to detainment camps, like Alligator Auschwitz. You ever wonder why we call Alligator Auschwitz Alligator Auschwitz? Because we're paralleling that. Now, eventually, the concentration camps got so overfilled that the way that the Nazis decided to manage that is just start exterminating. Without any humanity, just let's get rid of them. Exterminate, exterminate, exterminate. You're right. You're right. You're absolutely right. ICE is not there yet. This is not 1942 yet. This is more like 1936, 1938, maybe 1939. You see the parallels? No, because you're closed-minded and you're incapable of learning from the past. You're the guy who gets up in the morning barefoot, and as he's walking across the floor, stubs his toe on another piece of furniture on Monday morning. And then on Tuesday morning, you get up and you stub your toe on a piece of furniture. And then Wednesday morning, you get up and you stub your toe on the piece of furniture. On Thursday morning, guess what you're going to do? You're going to get up, walk across the floor, and stub the same fucking toe on the same piece of furniture because you are incapable of learning. We had to storm a bloody battle across Normandy Beach and slug our way across Germany because we ignored Poland. We're going to see exterminations because these ICE detention centers are going to fill up. We're not there yet. History is repeating itself. We're not in that timeline of the repetition of history. Capiche? Get it? Do you understand? No, because your mind is closed. Okay, push play.
You know, it's not often. I have a pretty good audience. Finkel, I have a pretty good audience. Pretty smart guys.
Are they?
And so it's not often that I read a comment from like this from a troll that is
again, he doesn't agree with the narrative. He knows nothing about me, and he assesses that I'm a troll. I actually thought when I posted that a few minutes before, it was in line with his topic. I wasn't even disagreeing with him. But I'm a troll. Therefore, mine closes even more. Now he's going to stump his toe right after stumping his toe. It's Wednesday morning. He's done it 3 mornings in a row. He's going to stump his toe. He's going to say, oh, shit, fit, putt, cut. He's going to get his coffee. And when he's walking back, he's going to stump the same toe on the same. This is how these people are. This is how they are.
That is so stupid that it makes.
It's stupid. This comment is stupid. Let's break it down. Christian ICE detainees, yes. People detained by ICE who happen to be Christian. I don't even break it down to the other faiths, Judaism, Buddhism, Islam, because most ICE detainees are actually Christian. 51% are Catholic. 20% are evangelical. There's a small section that's actually, when you come to the Jews and the Muslims and the Buddhists, actually they're so small in number. most of them are Christian. Okay, Christian nationalities are being denied access to Bibles. It's a fact. Tom Homan and ICE representatives have admitted this, but he calls it fake. Let me call back. Let me go back in.
That is so stupid.
Okay, what I'm saying is stupid, but detainees are being denied access to Bibles and other religious texts, admitted by Tom Homan, admitted by Christy Nome, admitted by people actually in ICE uniforms. Okay, why is pointing out a fact stupid? Because it doesn't go along with your narrative. Okay, POWs, that's a prisoner of war. This is a new sentence. POWs get access to the religious text, and that is a fact. They do. If you're a Muslim from Iraq or Afghanistan, and we took you prisoner, we're going to allow you access to religious text. That's a fact. Maybe what he's calling stupid is ICE is worse than Nazis. Okay. Remember Jerry Wolf, World War II veteran, Jewish, American, identified as Jewish. His passport had stamped Jew in German. His Torah was stamped with a Nazi symbol authorizing him to have that document and read it. Okay. In that aspect, currently, in the parallel time in Nazi Germany, ICE is acting worse than Nazis. And we're on a track that follows the Gestapo, the Secret Service, that we haven't reached the extermination point yet. But, so everything I'm putting in here is a fact. It's a verifiable fact. And he calls it stupid and therefore trolling. And I got a text. Excuse me. Yes. Okay. Yes. Okay. All right. Let's continue.
That it makes me
you what?
Kind of pause for a minute.
I have to think. I have to think. Oh, yeah, that hurts to think, doesn't it?
You obviously don't understand what POWs are.
That is how I realize he did not serve. He may have enlisted. He may have been commissioned. He may have a DD-214, but he never understood what it is to become a prisoner of war. He never understood what it is to take a prisoner of war. He thinks, I don't know what a prisoner of war is. You have EPWs. That means we take prisoners of war. Nazi Germany. Hell, it goes all the way back to 1776. We took redcoats as prisoners of enemy prison. Well, I think we call them prisoners of war at the time, but somewhere we developed the term EPW. And we've become prisoners of war ever since our nation was created. But just because I use POW, maybe it's because I didn't use dots. POW is an acronym, an abbreviation, prisoner of war. Maybe he's hung up on that. No, the truth is he's admitting he doesn't know what a prisoner of war is, and he assumes that I don't know what a prisoner of war is. He has no fucking clue.
POWs get access to their religious texts?
Yes.
Oh?
Yes. Admitted by Christy Holman, admitted by Tom Homan, admitted by ICE detention center leaders in uniform. Admitted. And accused by the people who the religious texts were. I get it. You're not going to see those people as credible. But the people who detained them, you probably see as credible. And they've admitted it. He's really struggling with it.
And therefore ICE is worse than Nazis.
Correct. Think timeline. Think of where we're at versus where the Nazis were at in 38, 39. Think about it. In fact, I'll pause you to give you the false impression that you're thinking about it. I get it. That's humor. This was a while ago. He doesn't have the capacity to think.
I'm sorry, do you believe that the Nazis put Jews in concentration camps and then provided them with religious texts?
No, because I know what a POW is. The German Jews, the Polish Jews rounded up and put into prison camps were not prisoners of war. Get it? Get it? Okay. Follow me here. The Nazis detained, fenced off Jewish neighborhoods. The Nazis took away Jewish rights. This is early on. The Nazis started shipping the Jews off to concentration camps. So far, we have zero prisoners of war regarding German citizens who were deprived their citizenship and became detainees of the Nazi regime. I didn't say anything about prisoners of war here. I'm putting prisoners of war in comparison with them. Jerry Wolf was an American soldier airman. This is the Army Air Corps, whose plane was shot and he ejected. He got out and he was captured. And he was quickly identified as the Jewish person he is. He was quickly identified as the enemy he is. He was an American soldier in uniform, identified as a Jew, while the Nazis were detaining their own citizens and sending them to concentration camps. And by this time, I think the extermination started coming. And Jerry Wolf was allowed his Torah. He was allowed to practice his faith. He was allowed to connect to his higher power in accordance with his beliefs. It's you, sir, who don't understand the difference between a detained person in a detention camp in places like Alligator Auschwitz and a prisoner of war.
Do you suspect, for example, that America's enemies take POWs in war and then provide us with religious texts?
And that is also how I realize he never served. I'm very aware that other countries abuse human rights. Even abuse our human rights. We don't have the power of a Roman citizen who could walk the earth and just state, I am a Roman citizen, and get free pass. I get it. We like to think so. We like to think, hey, you can't do that to me. I'm an American. I'm very aware of the inhumane treatment of Americans who are taken prisoner. Like your buddy, Trump's buddy, Putin. If you're in a Putin prison, you're not going to get treated with the human rights that we have always pushed for as a great nation. America, when we were great before Trump, we did allow religious access in prisons, war prisons or civilian prisons, and we expected and held other countries accountable for not. Do you see the difference? Yes, we're all aware that there were people who violated what we now consider the Geneva Conventions. We get that. And when they did, we held them accountable. I'm going to say it, Google, don't Google. Use whatever search engine or AI you want and look up Nuremberg trial. Nuremberg trial. It's a German name, Nuremberg. It's a berg, it's in the mountains, it's Nuren, and trial. This was pushed by the Allies, United States, Great Britain, and France, and later the UN, to try people who did exactly what ICE is doing now, denying people basic human rights. We, the United States of America, pushed for penalties for people who did things like deprive people of faith access to the religious scriptures, to deny them the ability to pray, and also deny them things like food, water, darkness at night. They're keeping the lights on 24/7 to deprive them of sleep. These people are being tortured when we used to be the nation who would protect people. And when we failed to protect them, we would punish people who did this. And this is why I say you never served. You may have enlisted, you might have worn a uniform, you might even have an honorable discharge, but you made the military served you. You did not serve a cause, you did not serve a country, you served a paycheck, if you indeed even enlisted. But something tells me if you enlisted, you didn't get very far, because this shit is taught all the way through a military career. I don't know what the Marine Corps and Air Force have, but if you're in the Army, I'm talking about basic training. I'm talking about AIT. I'm talking about PLDC or whatever they call it now. I'm talking about BNOC, ANOC, First Sergeant's Academy, Sergeant Major's Academy, continued NCOES War College if you're an officer. This shit is continuously taught if you served at a time that would be appropriate for the apparent age you are. Because I'm apparently a similar age, and therefore, in my prime of service age, 17 to 33, I did serve, and I paid attention in all that training, all those classes. I became aware of who we are as a nation, who we are as a military, and how we treat others. And you are not. Let's continue. He's really strong.
You are completely unhinged.
I'm unhinged. I make one comment. I make some more later. I make one comment with one fact. ICE detainees are being denied access to Bibles and other religious texts. One fact. And the next sentence, POWs get access to the religious text. I didn't say all. I didn't say U.S. I didn't say Vietnamese. But POWs get access to religious texts. That's a fact. People who are at war with each other, when they're taken prisoner, they get access to religious texts. I'm not saying it's never violated. Okay, 2 sentences, 2 facts, and 3, ICE is worse than Nazis. Is that unhinged, or is that opining based on where we are in the linear evolution of Trump's America versus Hitler's Germany? I'm saying we're about 1938, 1939. Use your favorite search engine. I'm not going to say Google, because apparently that triggers this guy. Use your favorite search engine, or fucking go to the library and look it up. These are facts. These are facts. Finkel's is an unhinged troll. Yes, I. Thanks, nerdy. All right.
Your worldview is entirely divorced from an understanding of reality.
Entirely divorced from reality. I am quoting ICE. I am quoting Border Czar. I am quoting Kristi Noem, cosplay Barbie. I am pointing out facts, historical facts. And I'm making an assessment based on the first 2 facts. My assessment is that we're approximately in 1938, 1939. But I'm repeating myself. But I'm unhinged. I'm detached from reality. Okay.
That's like, even if it were the case that Christian ICE detainees are being denied access to Bibles and other religious texts.
If it wasn't, Tom Homan lied. Kristi Noem lied. Just saying.
Even if that were the case.
It is the case. Okay.
The idea that makes ICE worse than Nazis, you're clearly completely divorced from an intelligent understanding of reality.
2025, line it up with 1938. Anybody, go ahead and chart where the Nazi detention of Jews was in 1938 versus where ICE is in 2025. Okay. The horror, I mean, it's all bad, but the really truly horrible stuff happened in the years that followed 1939.
Right. That's just psychotic. And yeah, Alex has a great comment there. Yes, not having a
Bible is worse than gas chambers. He's saying that sarcastically. Now, this guy's going to compare a basic training gas chamber experience with tear gas to this. I think he corrects himself. But yes, not having a Bible is worse than gas chambers. Now, for a lot of these Christian nationalists, it actually is. The ability to commune with, to connect to Jesus Christ in their narrative, the lack of ability means you're going to hell, means eternal life. A gas chamber means your time on earth is going to end. So, according to the Christian nationalists, some Christian nationalists, if you're unalived, with the ability to access your religious materials, you get to go to heaven. But if you're unalived without access, you're going to hell. I get it. That's not true. But that's what a lot of these Christian nationalists believe. These are the people who support Trump in what is going on now.
The Bible is worse than gas chambers. I have been into I have been in gas chambers, not obviously not fatal ones, but
he had to explain that.
I can tell you that even just being in one that's full of tear gas is far more unpleasant than not being allowed to read the Bible for a period of time.
Ask a Christian nationalist. I get it. For you, a man without faith of any kind, a few moments in a gas chamber, by the way, that stuff wears off pretty quickly, and a tear gas chamber. Don't get me wrong, he's talking about a tear gas chamber, not a mustard gas chamber or cyanide gas chamber. He's talking about tear gas. He thinks that's worse than being denied his religious freedom. This is another reason why I realized he never served, and he's not a Christian. You never served. Brushfire. You may have enlisted, but someone who served understands that the basics of human dignity in the military is being able to, your dog tags have your religion on. And that's in case you get your ass blown away and they find pieces of you, they can bury you in accordance with your religious belief. Huh? Huh? Do you know what huh is? Probably not. Okay.
Yes. Google it. Not.
Now, come on. When I say Google it, it's colloquial for search for it on your favorite search engine. I don't give a fuck if it's Yahoo. I don't care if it's Siri. I don't care if it's Chat GPT. I would advise against the one on Twitter that started supporting Nazism. And how'd you guys hear about this? The AI bot on Twitter, on X, recently started this whole anti-Semitic pro-Nazi bullshit. Okay, so yeah, maybe you should be skeptical. Basically, I'm colloquially saying research it, look it up, do it the old school way. You look to the appropriate age, like me, to know how to go to your local library, use the card keyed index, look up a topic, and find it. It's all there. It's history. We haven't burned those books yet.
Nazis gave Jerry Wolf access to Oh, okay. Nazis gave a person, one guy, access to Jewish texts. Google.
Actually, okay, I didn't articulate well. Jerry Wolf's story at the Veteran Center, included that there were certain days that he and other Jewish American soldiers and Jewish French soldiers and Jewish, they could march off as a group to their POW makeshift synagogue, as did the Christians. Of course, the Christians were all lumped into one. They didn't separate the Catholics from the Protestants, but yeah, you actually you line up outside the Gulag barracks and you march to wherever it is they're going to have their service. Jerry Wolf wasn't the only one. Just because I use Jerry Wolf as someone who is famous for this, you think I'm saying there's only one. Because you have a narrow mind. Because you have the mind you accuse me of.
Google it. Okay. Yeah, and Solzhenitsyn had to write the Gulag Archipelago in his head because he was denied access to writing materials. And so...
Okay, he's talking about one guy. Jerry Wolf wasn't one guy. I mean, Jerry Wolf is one guy, but Jerry Wolf was one guy among a group of others like him. This guy that he's quoting was some kind of genius, and he could memorize it. Is he saying that every detainee in ICE, in Nazi Germany, and wherever, anybody who's been a prisoner of any kind, shape, or form has the ability to memorize all this shit and write a book later? No, dick shit. That's why that's why you have tick marks on cell walls. They're keeping track of time because they can't remember. Because most people cannot. Most people cannot. All right, let's continue.
Over the years that he spent in the Gulag, he wrote to himself in his head, memorizing the text as he formulated it, and then dictated it at a later time. Okay, there you go. There's another anecdote that doesn't prove a pattern. So, yeah, it's a nice try, Finkel.
Well, at least he admits his story doesn't prove a pattern. As I said before, I realized he was going there. Yeah, if one guy does it, doesn't mean everyone can do it. If Jerry Wolf got access to his religious text, it doesn't mean everyone did. But because you won't Google it, because you won't look up Jerry Wolf's story, you don't know that it wasn't just Jerry Wolf. It was Jerry Wolf and his comrades who were also Jewish prisoners of war from the U.S. Armed Forces, from the British Armed Forces, from the French Resistance. You're not aware of that because you're not just ignorant. You're not just stupid. You choose to remain stupid and ignorant. It's retard by choice. RBC. You're a retard by choice. You're not retarded because you have some kind of mental deficiency where you can't learn. You are such because you choose to be. Holy shit. Is that a law in the background? Oh, it's probably a dummy. Okay. You see where my pointer is now? That looks to me like a light anti-tank weapon. Of course, it wouldn't do anything to a tank now. It's probably expended or a dummy because I don't think you could have a light anti-tank weapon in your studio. Again, a poser. This is like the guy who wears an empty holster into a courthouse. Why not leave the holster in the car? Why do you have a light anti-tank weapon on this rack lined up with these AR-15s? What's up, poser? What is up, poser? God damn. I didn't notice all this stuff when I was trying to have a good faith conversation.
Nice try. Okay, guys, that is 10 after. Oh.
And that looks like, it's hard to tell. Look, it might be a saw. Now, I found out you can buy a saw. You need special licensing. What the fuck's he doing with a light? Of course, again, I don't know if that's a real saw or not. All right, yeah.
And yes, Alex, perfect. They're perfectly entitled to a Bible. Just stay the fuck home. Yeah.
And that is the mentality. That's the mentality. You don't get religious freedom unless you go to the country that persecuted you and took away your religious freedom. Okay. You're not allowed to connect to your higher power, to practice your spiritual ritual. You're not allowed to do that in your country. So you escape your country and you come to the land of the land of the free and the home of the brave. And you find out, in the process of making America great again, we are no longer the land of the free and the home of the brave, and you no longer can have your Bible. No, Zandermack, they are not perfectly entitled to a Bible back in home. That's why they're here, because they thought making America great again meant you could have religious freedom. Yeah, not so much.
100%. And then this, yeah, you invade my country. You probably shouldn't even get food.
Oh, the invasion thing. Okay. Because a barefoot woman and her barefoot children walked thousands of miles, crossed one of the most dangerous borders in the world that's not, like machine gun protected. And they pick your food, motherfucker. They pick your food. They serve you food. They make sure your fat ass can eat. But they shouldn't even get food. The Brushfire Mind. See all that bullshit you have in the background? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 AR-15s, one apparent M249 saw. Or is that a 6? I can't really tell you. Your fat head's in my way. And a light anti-tank weapon. And boxes of alleged ammunition. My advice to you, sir, hold on to that stuff. You're going to need it. Cheerio.
Are you mad? Are you bothered? Just a little? You seem mad.